In today's video, Beanie and I have the absolute pleasure to talk to my friend Robing McDonald, who is not just a successful Hollywood actress, but who was also known for decades, until she recently retired, as the aesthetician to the stars. Robing and I will be talking about the pressure to be ageless in today's society in general, but particularly in Hollywood, how Robing withstands that pressure, and what she does to look and feel absolutely incredible at age 71. Robing, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. I love seeing you. You inspire me so much. And I should be interviewing you and finding out how exactly you look exactly the way that you do.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I know a lot about you, and I know it's work, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But yeah, no, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes, sweetheart. That's why I love talking to you. You right away make me feel...
Get the compliments out of the way.
But Robing, I wanted to have you on because, first of all, I adore you. You've been on my channel before, but I went on your website the other day to purchase more of your amazing skincare. And when I was searching your website, I looked at some of the posts you had left. And in one of the posts, you said that you look at aging as a privilege that should be worn proudly and unapologetically. And I thought that was so beautifully said.
Thank you.
You work as an actress still in Hollywood, and I can only imagine. We live in this youth-obsessed world right now as it is, but Hollywood is a whole nother level. So I can only imagine how challenging that must be to hold on to that attitude.
Yeah.
So how did you find the grace?
That's so nice of you to say. Grace, I love that word. How did I do it? Well, you know, the question is really twofold, because I was in the room as an esthetician for 30 years, and I saw a lot of anxiety, a lot of comparison. I was in the business of being an actor myself, so I kind of try to balance the two careers, you know. And I had such a great passion and love for skincare and for helping people. It was tricky because here I was an actress and working on actresses at the same time, you know. But I learned a lot about what I didn't want for myself. And I saw a lot of people coming in having over-peeled, over-treated, a lot of surgery, a lot of facelifts coming through there, you know. And I knew that that wasn't my story. I pretty much knew that early on. So there was that part of it, being in the room and having sort of an inside view, or I don't know how to say it, but, you know, kind of getting into people's heads, because that's what happens when you work for 30 years and you have the same clients for 30 years. You go through this trajectory with them of life. Mm-hmm. And so I'm paralleling my own life as an actress with these actresses who are coming in and sharing a lot with me about their trials and tribulations of comparison and the ridiculous beauty standards that Hollywood, you know, puts on everybody. So there's that part of it. And then the other part, it was really just spiritual. I didn't always love myself. You know, when I was working on people with that kind of a mindset, the mirror was sort of being held up to me. And I knew that I had to work on myself internally. And I don't feel that you can make judgments about other people as far as what they choose their path to be, as far as getting treatments and surgeries and things like that to elevate their looks, so to speak. I knew that that wasn't going to be for me. And I worked hard to be happy with what I was God-given, I guess.
First of all, I want to say you're quite humble about working for 30 years as an esthetician. You were known as the
Oh,
esthetician to the stars. In fact, on your website, you have some impressive testimonials from
yeah,
quite well-known actresses and actors, such as
yeah.
Charlize Theron. So you were really well known.
Charlie's, I always say there's nothing wrong with her.
She's
I
absolutely
mean, she is a stellar, she's a beauty monster, if you will, it's, yeah, a lot of celebrities, a lot of known people coming through, which puts a lot of pressure on you too when you have, the studio's investment in your hands.
And like you said, you also work as an actress. So I always thought you just said you didn't always love yourself. To me, not knowing that, I would have thought you were just born with all this self-esteem, just tunneled into you, because to get the pressures on both ends, I think we're all feeling it, whether we're
Yeah,
actors or not, we're all feeling it as we're aging as women, or even when we're not aging. I have friends who are quite young and they're feeling the pressure. But you had the double whammy. You worked with these gorgeous celebrities. You work as an actress yourself. So I just always figured you were just born with all this self-esteem, knowing
oh
how much.
no, my friend. I think we all have our challenges. Yeah, I have always worked. I've never done any crazy search for inner peace as far as a big, what's the word I'm looking for now?
Enlightenment.
Retreat, whatever. So I've relied really on just working hard, reading, taking in information that's around me, listening to other people, and trying to find firm ground. Not resisting age, but rather embracing it and learning how to support myself through it. I say it's a privilege to wake up every morning. You need only to, probably for most of us in our inner circle, there's people with a lot bigger challenges to face in the day. So
Yeah,
that's a good way to compare yourself. If you're going to compare yourself against someone who's really struggling.
I like that. Yeah. Rather than something unattainable, because even the people that we think have it all together, they don't have it all together. And
Yeah.
what we're seeing as perfect is not so perfect. It's photoshopped and, enhanced and all kinds of things. But again, I always thought that you would just this rock to withstand all that. So to get that took a lot of hard work. That's,
Yeah, I hope I can be that now for people, but
Yeah.
I had to work hard. I've been a bit of a mess several times in my life, and I'm sure there's people out there now that are saying I haven't changed, but, you got to keep a good humor about it and be convicted in your intentions and be consistent. That was a hard one for me. Consistency.
Do you ever feel any outside pressure from your agent or anything to do anything differently, to get any work done, to do anything that?
What's really interesting? Personally, my agent is happy that I haven't done anything drastic and that I went gray during COVID. It wasn't pretty, but I didn't have to go anywhere. So, anyway, yeah. So, no, a lot of auditions will come down the pike and they'll say, no obvious plastic surgery, no obvious face freeze, must be able to show emotion, things like that. So now that I'm gray and I am in that niche of people my age that haven't had surgery, it's worked for me. It's been good for me. So I've had a lot more activity since I went gray and got a little bit older. Every year you think, well, if I don't work this year, I'll wrap it up. And I felt more like that a decade ago than I do now. It still happens, believe me. We all do as actors, but yeah, it's worked for me to stay the course and not mess around too much.
That's good to hear. But I can understand, because we watch somebody on screen trying to be upset or sad or whatever, and nothing's happening in the face. And that's
and also the period productions.
Mm-hmm.
Where, clearly someone has a face full of Botox and maybe a forehead left. You're just like, or highlights, like beautiful highlights, when they're on the prairie. It just makes me laugh. Yeah, so I think that little niche of mine is the pool is getting smaller and smaller. So it might be good for me. We'll see.
Have you ever been tempted? Have you ever gone to?
Yeah. Oh my God. I remember talking to you years ago and saying, I think it'd just be cheaper to sew my hands to my face and walk around. Because, well, that's the other thing, it's such an investment. And for me, I'd rather put that money elsewhere. Mm-hmm. My first plastic surgery consultation, well, my one and only, actually, I was in my 40s and working at this very famous skincare salon for many, many years. And a lot of the plastic surgeons of note in Beverly Hills would seek us out and give us free consultations and discounts and stuff like that so that we would pass it on to our clients. And because I worked at a place where it was, sort of the jewel in the crown of skincare at that time in the, 80s. So I went with a couple of facialists to get a consultation, and the doctor looked at me and said, you don't need anything. Come back and see me in 10 years. But as I was walking out, he said, I could fix that nose of yours. And I went, oh, I never thought of that. And I said, I think people like it. But it just goes to show that you have to really know what you're doing when you walk into that office. You have to talk about being convicted in your intentions. If you're going to look for a plastic surgeon, you need to really, really know what you want.
Somebody less centered than you may have gone for that nose job,
Well, many have. And as I said, I saw a lot of facelifts come through. I have referred plastic surgeons to my clients, but my advice would always be, you have to be sure if you're going to do something extreme like a facelift that you are going to feel better afterwards, whether you get what you want or what you don't want, than the way that you do now. So that's going to be a risk. And if you're not really sure that you can't live with what you're seeing now, then you're still on the fence and you shouldn't, take the leap. But again, I have friends that have had beautiful work done. I've and no judgment. Everybody has their own path, and I know you feel the same way.
Yeah.
So we have to hold fast, Claudia. See where we are in 10 years. I'll be 81. What's the point?
Well, something else I read on your website, and that kind of goes back to when you said you want to sew your hands onto your face. I know you're joking about. You said these days my concerns are less about how the flesh is sitting on the bone.
Right.
So let's be honest, some days that is still a topic.
Yeah.
But more about how I'm showing up. Am I giving back enough? Am I moving through the world with intention? And I really love that because, again, I think all of us can get, myself included, wrapped up in the superficial, right? What we look like.
Yeah.
None of that matters if we don't have the last part that you mentioned. How are you showing up? What is your intention? So I love that you mentioned that. So how would you like to show up in the world? What is your intention? How would you like to make a difference?
I want to be more of service. I want to care for myself as a whole being. Again, we get so self-possessed and focused on our beauty, our looks. We're both in the industry, so somewhat dependent on that. But there are other things like mental health. I've done a lot more for myself as far as going within this year, and I want to continue that journey. I think that's super important. And also, you know, the older you get, it's a little bit more work. You have to care a little bit more, you find. I was just thinking when I was walking Louis today that Patti Smith has this great quote. I'm not going to say it perfectly, but she was interviewed, what kind of advice would she give to up and coming rock musicians? And she said, take care of your teeth. I thought that was so brilliant. You have to really pay attention to what's happening as we age. And I feel that taking care of myself is the best way to take care of others. So when I'm feeling less than, which happens, it's hard to be there for other people. So I think in that I meant that building a strong foundation, inner and outer, is the way that I like to show up and be strong for other people.
You know, that's so powerful, because I think as women, we often think that that's selfish, right? To take care of ourselves, but we cannot give from an empty cup. And I think it's so important to learn that as women, that it's not selfish to practice self-care, but that if you fill that cup up, you want to actually be there for others, and you can be there for others.
Yeah, I mean, if you're stressed out and feeling weak on some level, it's very difficult to be able to gift anyone of yourself.
I really love that you said that, because again, I talk to so many women, especially older women, that haven't learned that, you know, that still think it's selfish to take care of oneself, and it's not. Self is essential, and only when we do these essential things can we be good to the world.
Yeah, I think it was Gloria Vanderbilt that said, when she was asked about all of her plastic surgeries and all this stuff, and she said, if I don't feel good about myself, I can't make somebody else feel good. And I thought, that's just so simple, you know, just simple. That's your answer. So it's important to take care of your own well-being first. Put your mask on first, as they say, right?
It's interesting that you bring up the Gloria Vanderbilt, because for her it is about surgeries to feel good about herself, and we're just talking about.
I know.
But plastic surgery aside, I would love to know, and I know my audience does as well, all of your secrets, because if I look like you at 71, and by the way, I have to mention this really fast, we are doing this interview on Zoom. Zoom has a tendency to sort of blur things out a little bit. We're not using filters, but Robin really does look this good in real life.
Wow.
You know, we obviously focus on what your face looks like and all of that. But when I look at you, you just radiate life. And
Wow, that's a great compliment. Thank you.
And that's what matters. Yeah, your skin is flawless on top of all of that. But if I radiate that at 71 and I have that energy and that passion for life, I will be very, very happy. So I would love to know, let's say if you would run into your younger self, right? If you would tell her, hey, here are 3, 4, or 5, however many you have, I want to share with us, things that I think that are very important, so that when you're my age, you do feel that you have aged proudly and unapologetically.
I love this question. I would say, number one, don't put everything up for a vote. Decide what you like.
I like that.
Secondly, listen. Listen to what's going on around you and take in the information that enhances your well-being and pushes you forward. It's all kind of mindset stuff, but don't be ashamed of your dreams. Hang on to them and push for them. And don't compare yourself to other people. And take care of your teeth. A lot of it is about owning oneself.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me as a kid, the reason I would say all those things to my younger self is that I did seek love all the time, you know, and I wish I had learned to stop and be quiet and go within and really learn who I was, who I wanted to be, as opposed to an influence of everyone around me. You know, be kind, kindness.
Yourself and others.
Yeah. Have a good sense of humor. Let things, like, learn to let go. It's a big one. And you'll be a perfect adult. That's the recipe. I'm sorry. No, but it takes work, and it takes love of self.
The very first one, when you said it's not up for vote, that's such a great point, because as women right now, especially, again, we cannot win.
Yeah.
You know, a woman lets herself go if she ages naturally. And if she doesn't, then, you know, she has too much work done. She's too fat, she's too thin, it's
Yeah.
not right. So I like that one, that it's not up. How did you word it? I got a
Just don't put everything up for a vote.
I like that. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
I think for us women especially, because like I said, well, it's never right anyway, so you might as well do what you want to do.
I have to still remind myself of that now. You know, that's something that you have to take through life. And it's easy to let go of and sort of succumb to pressures.
Again, this is why I wanted to have you on, because I know you've had your struggles. We all do.
Yeah.
You have withstood. I mean, that your career is stronger now at age 71 than it was before, that says a lot about who you are.
And I feel like I'm just getting started. I just had a big Mother's Day run with the skincare line.
You started the skincare line when you retired from being an esthetician, correct?
I started really about 10 years ago. I dabbled and everything, but I got serious about 10 years ago, so 60, 61, you know, around that. I'm a big, firm believer that it's never too late. You can't even afford to think that it might be. You have to keep going.
I actually was introduced to your skincare line when I lived in Hawaii.
Right.
And I fell in love with it. And that's all I used when I lived in Hawaii, and it was perfect.
Kindry is a minimalist skincare program. So personally, my routine is that depending on what goes on during the day, for instance, if I have a full face of makeup, I'll remove it with a cold cream, use a toner just to make sure everything is nice and sparkling clean, and then I'll put a oil over it. And I have that skin that I can use everything, which is great because I get to use everything I sell and try everything first as I'm formulating and all of that. So I don't like to go to bed with a heavy face, but in the morning when I wake up, I slather on either an oil first, because I do believe that the molecules of the oil are big. You don't want to inhibit the absorption of an oil into the skin by putting a cream and then the oil. I know there's different schools of thought on that, but that's my feeling after being hands-on in the room for 30 years with people. That's what I believe, that the oil needs to go into the skin without being interrupted. And then I'll put a cream on, and then sunscreen. A good sunscreen is cheaper than regret. So I'm big on sunscreens, hat and sunglasses, the whole thing. And then I will, if I do that, I'll walk the dog and then come back and then put my makeup on for the day. It's very simple.
I like hearing you talk about sunscreen because there seems to be this anti-sunscreen trend right now.
Yes, I noticed that.
Listen to Robin. She is known as the aesthetician to the stars.
Yeah, sunblock, really important.
You don't use any actives, right? Like retin-A or anything like that?
I don't.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't make them anymore, and I don't use them. I feel like for me, being on the dry side, I'm not against them. My clients had a lot of luck with retin-A's and glycolic acids and things like that. What acids do you use?
I use glycolic acids and I use
You
retin.
do, yeah.
But your skin shows that minimalism can definitely work.
Yeah, I think less is more. You get to a certain point,
Yeah.
you know. And then nutrition. It's everything.
What would you say is the most important as far as nutrition when it comes to skin health?
Well, antioxidants and omegas for skin. Antioxidants like blueberries. Omegas like fatty fish if you do eat fish. Flaxseed oil if you don't. Avocados. But yeah, those are the two things to lean into for good skin. Don't you agree? Or do you have any tips?
I definitely agree. For me, I saw a huge turnaround in my skin when I focused more on omega-3 fatty acids. Most of us eat way too many omega-6s, which can be pro-inflammatory, and not enough omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
So when I got that ratio a little bit better, my rosacea improved. My rosacea improved a lot with IPL, but it basically disappeared. But I had very old dermatitis for years, which is the rash around the mouth and the nose. And no matter what I did, it wouldn't go away. And then when I got that ratio right, just by changing my diet,
Yeah.
within weeks it disappeared. And knock on wood, it hasn't come back in a decade.
Yeah.
I do think, and I also noticed increasing my omega-3 fatty acid intake, I was able to handle retin-A, which I could never before in my life.
Yeah.
So I definitely believe, while I'm a skincare junkie, what we put in our body is much more important for the health of our
And probiotics too, I wanted to mention. I recently got into sauerkraut big time.
Oh, I love sauerkraut.
Yeah, I bet you do. I've been throwing it on everything. I think we should also mention sleep.
Yes.
That always seems to go by the wayside, and that can be key for a lot of people. So sleep, real sleep, is so important.
Are you somebody who sleeps well?
Well, it's interesting. I developed this restless leg syndrome about a year ago. And, I tried doing all these different things for it. Topical magnesium balms and things like that. And, stretch and walk around. It even happened to me on airplanes. But I upped my magnesium intake and it turned everything around. So I haven't had any real bad episodes for a while. But I think that is also linked to stress and, I do magnesium and ashwagandha a lot for stress management as far as supplements. But sleep is a big one. It's a big one.
And you and I have talked about this before, which it still amazes me because you're not on HRT either. So
No.
I think about that because of the sleep, because when I was not on HRT, I didn't sleep. But what's amazing is that, first of all, you sleep well. And secondly, how full of life and you are and how incredible you look without HRT. Because I'm very pro HRT. And, I do believe that it is something my body needs. But we are told, right, that once we go into menopause, we go downhill, our collagen basically disappears. We start just looking dried up like a prune. You're obviously a living example that doesn't happen.
I managed to get through without it. I did. So, but many of my friends are on it or have been on it. I was lucky I didn't have severe symptoms, and I just pushed through.
Your skin, your hair, nothing suffered?
I didn't notice.
That looked like it.
That might be the key, actually. Maybe I did, and I just didn't realize. No, I don't, nothing notable, where I would run off to a doctor. So I just didn't. I thought about it, but I had to be honest with myself, and I felt like I really didn't need it.
Mhm.
So I got lucky, I guess.
You sure did.
Yeah, I'm glad it's
Well,
helped you.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this is incredible. I could talk to you all day long, but I know you have other things to do.
I know. Thank you so much. Thanks for letting me, listening and letting me, go all over the place and stuff. It's so great to talk to you. And I hope, I kind of feel like this is a kitchen table talk, you know? So I hope some of your followers will feel like they're talking to two old friends, because that's how I feel when I talk to you. Feels
Likewise.
good.
Likewise. But just to sum it up, because I want to go back to where we started, because again, I love what you said, that you want to age or that you are aging proudly and unapologetically. If you had to put it in one sentence, what does that mean to you?
Very simply, being true to myself.
Mm,
Being true to myself.
I like that. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And I will link your amazing skincare line down below.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and let's do a discount for your people. So why don't we do 15% off, and I'll set it up. Claudia will be the discount.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, my pleasure.